Thank you, Madam Chair. On page 26, it said the threshold of procurement, competitive procurement is adjusted. I realized that the number increased from 3,000 to 10,000. And for the goods or non-consulting services, the number increased from 5,000 to 20,000. I understand that that is a way to release the burden of the procurement tasks. But this kind of jump, is that suitable? To jump from 5,000 to 20,000 without competitive procurement? Thank you.
Would like to.
Through you, Madam Chair, this is Superintendent Armstrong. When we looked at this policy or this regulation, we reviewed what other school boards were doing in terms of their thresholds. We also reviewed the broader public sector directives and found that our school board actually has had thresholds and has thresholds that are much lower than what's actually being recommended. In terms of the miscellaneous goods and non-consulting services that changed from $3,000 to $10,000, all we're saying at that point is it's still competitively procured, but we're just allowing individuals to have a little bit more flexibility on smaller dollar purchases. Anything over $10,000 would still require 3 written quotes. The second reference to goods and non-consulting services and construction that went from $5,000 to $20,000. Again, this is all in compliance with broader public sector directives. But this threshold applies to facility services. And typically what we're finding is sometimes it's a small building or a maintenance repair that needs to occur in a school. And when you have to go and get a competitive 3 quotes for a job that costs $5,500, it is a lot of extra work. And sometimes you'll find even on the weekends or after hours, there might be emergency repairs that need to happen in schools for whatever reason. And again, this threshold does make it rather difficult to respond to things in a timely manner. And so everything that we are recommending here is not strictly just to address workload or burden, but it certainly is to help us be more efficient and to support what is already in the broader public sector directive. Thank you.
Supplementary?
Yeah, thank you for the explanation. My concern is that other school boards, we don't know that what kind of scale of other school board, if it is much larger than us, and if it's much larger, the procurement, procedure is kind of different with a small school board, and also as for the emergency purchase, there is a policy regarding that. It won't be affected by this number. I'm just thinking if we change the number so great, will that increase the risk of us to cannot comply with our budget? I mean, the risk of over the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair, if I would. It's Superintendent Armstrong. I don't really consider us a small school board. We're one of the medium-sized school boards in Ontario. Certainly, we are providing budget holders a little bit more latitude with the proposed changes to make purchases without getting 3 quotes. Again, it would be up to $9,999 before it would be required. I think it's important to recognize that we still have internal controls that are in place at the school board. So, for example, purchase requisitions, purchase orders, invoices, they all still require approval by the appropriate budget holder before anything is processed or paid. Our procurement and purchasing department is very thorough in terms of checking to ensure that the board policies and procedures are being met before anything would be procured or purchased as well. Budget holders do watch and monitor their budget very closely. I do know that, and we would still be bringing forward any procurements greater than $250,000 to the board, as we typically do per our policies. So those are my comments on that, and certainly if Ms. Hinchliffe has anything she wishes to add from a facility services perspective, it would be appreciated. But like I said, we do have processes in place and controls to mitigate those risks.
Joanna?
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. Having lived with that $10,000 limit for several years now, it's getting hard to even function. We cannot even get contractors to provide 3 quotes. It's handcuffed us on several occasions to the point where we couldn't do the work because we didn't meet the 3 written quotes. The cost of inflation and everything that's gone up, $10,000 just does not do what it did 5-10 years ago. So I would really appreciate the difference in the money for sure. It'd make our lives a little bit easier, and it would make the ability for us to do our work a little bit easier. Thank you.
Thank you. Just
Thanks, Madam Chair. I'd just like to say that I had a question, but it got answered in the words internal controls, because we had this presented with the same responses that Superintendent Armstrong gave us at Policy Committee, and the discussion was there at the committee. And we thought about it and we discussed it, and you will see on page 27, the board's policy committee has reviewed it and has put it forward, because all of those questions were asked and answered. And one of the big things was about the delay in fixing things, because you're trying to find something and we're handcuffing, as I heard the word, to get quotes, and when you're really just trying to fix the darn thing, and I trust the budget holders. They know their work. So I support this.
thank you. And it's also been a very long time since the limits have changed. They've been at that level for long, too long. Any other questions?